Today we're going to be talking about the editing in Kedi and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Let's get into it. Kedi uses a lot of establishing shots and longer takes where it follows the cats of Istanbul. They use music a lot for when the cats are walking down the street, especially the staccato music. They use this music a lot to help change the story. Take a guess how many times you think they use this music. I'll give you the answers at the end. There isn't really any shot reverse shots in Kedi, like in a narrative film, but it is a documentary, so it's different. The shots tell more of the story, and the interviews make it more understandable or concise. It makes it more edible for our brains, easier to understand, and adds more story into it than the shots would.
Bir yaş civarıydı geldiğinde genç oğlan. Kısır değildi.
Match-on action is very common, mainly people petting cats or cats' movements. After a story is closed, they cut to an establishing shot, then go to a more specific area. Like in this one, it starts with boats, and then it goes to the city, and then more specifically the market, and then it goes to the cats in the market. It also follows multiple cats and closes off the story before moving on to a new one. While in a narrative film, it more focuses on ending every storyline around the same time to add drama to it. While this isn't really an editing thing, it makes editing easier. Now let's move on to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. A lot of Puss in Boots and more narrative films use reaction shots. That's how they move the story forward. That's how they let the viewer know the feelings in each scene. Something I realized is they cut to show reactions more than Kedi, which makes sense because Kedi doesn't really have a lot of situations to do shot reverse shot. Unlike a narrative film, they want to do shot reverse shot a lot more in order to show the emotion of the scene. Kedi shows emotion but in different ways. Puss in Boots relies on harsh cuts for humor in some places, to drive the story forward, and to check in with the B-plot.
Thank you. But it would be a crime not to try.
I've already said it, but they use a lot more cutting back and forth to show reactions, which is expected for a narrative film. They also use cutting to over-exaggerate actions and motion, to extend time, to make it seem like things are going on longer than they actually are. This is a common thing to do in narrative film. Something I noticed that both of them do is cutting to show the characters' intentions, to understand them better. Puss in Boots cuts more often than Kedi does because they have different angles to cut to, while in Kedi, especially for interviews, they don't have different angles. They only have one shot of the interview. But they do cut to different shots of cats. It still builds the same emotional attachment as a narrative film would, but in a different way. They both use cuts to make you feel emotions, to make you feel like you're in the moment. Now you're probably wondering, how many times did Kedi use the staccato music in the film? And the answer is, drumroll, 14. They used the staccato music 14 times. And while it's all different clips, at least 5 of the 14 times they use the exact same clip, but it does a good job of sending a signal to your brain to be like, oh, we're changing scenery, we're changing characters, be ready. Helps editing film easier, helps make edit. Bruh, who am I talking to?